What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with Week 14 Waiver Wire edition. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. Getting ready for that playoff push. If you want to stay up to date with the latest fantasy football news, hit that subscribe button and win that fantasy football championship. Bring that title home. Okay, let's start at the top of waiver wire options. So this week is pretty good if you're looking to stream a quarterback. I do like Tyler Huntley this week a lot against Pittsburgh. He would be my number one streaming option because of the rushing upside he brings. Didn't do a lot through the air last week, but was able to have a decent fantasy day because of his work on the ground. I think with a full week of practice, we've seen him be pretty good in the past. I would be willing to play him against Pittsburgh. I do think you can play Jared Goff against Minnesota as well. I'd probably go Huntley there, though, just because of the rushing upside to me. But yeah, moving on to the running back position, I feel like there's three names that are really big to me this week if you're looking to add a running back, and those names are Cam Akers, James Cook, and Zonovan Knight. So Cam Akers last week, we saw him have 14 carries, something like that. Yes, 17 for 60 and 2. Not super effective, but when you're in this short yard situations, your yards per carry is going to drop a little bit as well. And if you're the touchdown guy, that's what we really want, is a goal line backs, and he's getting volume. So I think he is a solid play. I think my number one ad for this week, though, would probably be James Cook, at least at the running back position and probably overall. I don't think he's necessarily the safest player, and if I'm looking for a 1 week start, I'm probably adding Zonovan Knight just because I know that he's going to be the guy. But if we look at James Cook for this last week, 14 carries, 6 receptions, had a really good game, 20 touches for the rookie back, and over 100 yards from scrimmage. That's what you're looking for. He was a second-round pick, and he's getting more and more involved. I think James Cook is the guy that I would be adding. Personally, I think he could be a solid player down the stretch in your fantasy football leagues. Zonovan Knight is another name, though. Definitely have to keep your eye on, especially I think he is going to be very solid for this week. He plays Buffalo, so not the best matchup for him on the ground, but he's getting enough work through the air and on the ground to be solid in just about any matchup. As you see, 20 touches this last week. He scored 14 points, no touchdowns. That's what you like to see. But yeah, he's just been very effective so far. I think he is a solid play for sure. Moving on to the wide receiver position, I do think you could play or add Robert Woods as a spot start against Jacksonville, assuming Treylon Brooks is probably going to miss with his concussion. I'm assuming he was actually diagnosed with a concussion since he was held that game. Concussion protocol has been a little bit weird this year, though. We've seen some guys like Stafford get held out and then not have a concussion. Another name I'll throw out there, Demarcus Robinson. 9 targets 2 weeks ago, 8 targets this last week. I think Huntley is going to be much better in his second week. We've seen him flash in the past. He's a pretty solid backup, especially when, I view him as a very similar passer, maybe even a slight upgrade when you compare him to Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, he's definitely an interesting name for me. Another name we could throw out there, Corey Davis. He's owned maybe in a few more higher percentage of leagues, or 11% of leagues he's just rostered in mine. But you see 10 targets this last week with Mike White, 5 for 85. Plays Buffalo, another game where they're probably going to throw the ball. So I could see him being pretty involved this week. Corey Davis would probably be my number one ad at the wide receiver position, to him or Demarcus Robinson, but I think Robinson's a little bit more of a rejection. Moving forward, moving to the tight ends, Daniel Bellinger. We've seen him come back from that eye injury. He's a name to monitor. 5 targets in his first week back. I think the guy that I would be adding personally, though, is Noah Fant. We've seen him over his last 4 games be pretty solid for fantasy football, have 2 games where he's been very productive. And especially if Kenneth Walker is down, I feel like they might be a more run-heavy team just because 2 of the running backs that went down behind him. DJ Dallas has an injury. Travis Homer has an injury. Could they play? Sure, but it could be, Tony Jones Jr., and that means they're running the ball maybe 15 times or 12 times, putting the ball in Geno Smith's hands even more than they were, and that means more opportunities for Daniel Bellinger. Moving on to defense. The Raiders against the Rams, I think, are a really solid play. Rams offense did not look bad last week. They didn't look good. Cardinals defense versus New England, I think, is more aggressive just because we've seen the Cardinals defense struggle. New England has extra time, but we've obviously seen New England struggle a lot as well. So, yeah, I could go really either way on that one. A lot of tough picks for this week and defense. Um, Honestly, the name I think I'd throw there is the Bengals defense against Cleveland. I would like to play them this week. I think they're a solid play. Um, Fantasy football wise, we've seen Deshaun Watson struggle against Houston. I think the Bengals have a better defense, and I think they've got a solid run defense as well. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.